This is a very gentle practice aimed to soothe aches and pains associated with both your menstrual phase and endometriosis. For this sequence, I teamed up with Allison from Sea of Chi Healing. She is the period acupuncturist supporting and advocating for women's health through holistic practices. And she herself has experience with endometriosis. So we teamed up on this sequence of postures that promote both circulation and grounding of the energetic body to help soothe inflammation and to bring you a little bit of comfort in the discomfort that you might be experiencing. This one is very slow moving, very gentle, and we will stay in a mat bound position for most of the entire practice. So we have some seated, some kneeling and quadruped positions, but primarily mat bound. So it's not an overly activating practice, and it's really designed to help you drop into and connect with the sensations that are arising in the body through the vehicle of the breath. So it'll help you tap into your deep diaphragmatic breathing so that you can bring the parasympathetic nervous system online, the rest and digest mode that provides the space for healing, that provides a space for pain relief. Really listen to what your body needs. If at any point you need to stop and come into child's pose or maybe rest on your side, really honor that and let that be a part of this practice. Just breathe with us as we move through, even if you are not moving in the same sequence that we are. So it's part of this collective experience that you can be in for the next 40 minutes or so to really help you drop into a more relaxed state. This is a great one to practice in the evening to support restful sleep, or any time that you just feel that you need some of that movement medicine for relief of kind of the low belly cramping. Maybe you have aches and pains in the back or the bowl of the pelvis. The goal here is just to alleviate some of that strain and bring the body back into balance. So let's get started. Let's begin our practice together today in a comfortable child's pose. You can let your big toes come to touch, let your knees widen, and then slowly start to lower the hips toward the heels. Let your knees be nice and wide, but close enough together that your outer ribs are supported. Rest your hands beneath your forehead and give yourself a moment to arrive. Enjoy a few cleansing breaths in and out through the nose, perhaps even a sigh so that you can hear the sound between your body and your mat. And then bring some awareness to any sensation you're feeling in the body, particularly as it relates to the low back, the pelvis, the low belly. Observe the quality and the texture, if it had a temperature even. And then notice how it radiates from that space. And as you do so, notice any areas that tend to grip, any space that might come online to protect you. Maybe you feel some tension in the lower back, or you feel the pelvic floor a bit strained. And with your next big inhale, create some intentional softening in those spaces. So from the very base of your pelvic floor, radiate out, soften, expand, relax. In the same way, from the navel all the way around the low back, the low belly. With your inhales, just expand, radiate, soften outward. And then on the exhale, without contracting inward, just feel the gentle gravity pull the breath back in towards you as it exits the body. I encourage you to keep the lines of communication open such that you hear any signals from your body, especially as we begin to move, moving only when it feels good, knowing that you can return to this resting posture at any time. And as you're ready with your next big breath, gaze out in front of you, slowly start to lower all the way to the belly. In these first few breaths, once again, resting your head on your hands, just start to sway the hips, the sacrum side to side, offering a gentle massage to the belly, the abdomen. You might even feel the pubic bone, the hip bones. And then bend your knees, windshield wiper your legs side to side. Just an attempt to free the low back. Noticing how your hips can move independently from your ribs. So the ribs are staying stationary, the hips are moving. And then spider your fingers off your mat in alignment with your shoulders, so about the same level as your shoulders. Tip the elbows up. Keep your hip bones grounded, legs grounded. And then without lifting the head, just start to press your upper back ever so slightly off the mat. Just a little bit, not a lot. And here with this suspension, this traction, once again, just begin to sway the torso side to side. So sort of alleviating some of that gravity between the bones, letting them hang, the bones of the spine here, letting them hang for a few moments. And then maybe you release back down here, just your cobra. So inhaling any amount and coming back down, maybe dipping a shoulder, sort of taking a circular route up and back down. So dipping alternate shoulders here. Again, just working to massage the low belly in a very gentle way. So this isn't your maximum expression in cobra, but just a softening. And then slowly come down, bring the forearms to the mat. Let your elbows be under your shoulders. Find a gentle back bend here. Stretch back through the legs. And again, here we're really focusing on relaxing the low belly, the low back. So I really love to kind of have this sway side to side, almost as if you were just kind of encouraging more space in the lower back. On your next exhale, keep your knees grounded and just start to roll the spine up. So without creating too much pressure in the belly, I'm just starting to connect to that stabilizing energy in the torso here. Inhale, lift your heart, maybe lift your gaze. Exhale, just a gentle round. So again, not looking for excessive pressure in the belly, but just a little bit of integration. Inhale, so that your body, any areas that are feeling pain or tension, we're sort of confirming that they're supported. We're confirming that they're safe to kind of experience whatever is going on, be it inflammation or cramps. Last one like this, round in and slowly release. Next, we're going to take the right arm out to the side. Press the palm facing down, so directly out from your body. Spider your left fingertips under your left shoulder, and then start to roll onto the right hip. You might come just onto the right hip, rest the head on the floor, or you might step that left foot behind your right leg, coming all the way over. So here, again, experiencing the way the hips and the ribs can move independent from one another. Sometimes they tend to get locked together, and that can create pain in the lower back. So here we're just freeing them as independent structures, opening the shoulder, creating some space across the heart. Last breath here. And slowly come back on to the belly to exchange sides. So adjusting the body if you need to, unless you have space. And then we'll extend the left arm directly out from the body here. Spider your right fingertips under your right shoulder. Roll onto the left hip. Let your head rest, and you can step your right foot behind you for scorpion. Spinning the hips skyward. Again, letting your head and neck be very heavy, just relaxed. And notice in each of these postures any sort of habitual gripping that you might find. For me, it's often in the neck and shoulders. So it's that conscious relaxation where we're kind of thanking the body for those protective mechanisms and then giving it permission to let them go. Come back through center as you're ready. And then with the hands under the shoulders, keep the knees grounded. We'll press back up to tabletop. You can let your shoulders come over the wrists, the hips directly over the knees. And a few simple rounds of cat and cow to really connect deeply with the breath. On your inhale, from the tailbone, send the pubic bone back. Lift up through the spine. Feel that ripple through the inhale. And then from the tailbone, curl under, round, exhale, empty the breath all the way, again without excessive pressure or pushing. Inhale, extend, lengthen the crown of the head and the sits bones back. And then as you exhale, round. So really explore each bone one at a time as you move through these waves. Inhale and exhale. Map the movement onto the breath, so see if you can start to time them where you're moving in unison. You're creating that deeper connection through the vehicle of the breath. Last big breath here, inhale. Give it some sound. Exhale. You can shimmy and shake the hips side to side. You can stay as you are. I'm going to turn to face you now for this next series. So we're staying in tabletop. And from here, I'll be mirroring you in movement. So we'll be kind of in that mirror image, the same side. So to begin, we're going to take the right leg, step it out to the side. Let the toes face the same direction as your fingertips. Really root down through the knife edge of that foot. And then with your opposite hand, with your left hand, spin the heart open, reach skyward. See if you can create that rotation in the upper back, but keep the hips kind of quiet. And then as you exhale, thread that left arm under, reach toward the right toes. Bring your left ear down to the mat, spider your right fingertips. Find a gentle twist in the upper back. So now here we're freeing the ribs to rotate independently. Stay stable through the knife edge of right foot here. And notice that even in the presence of the twist, we can create that gentle massage in the abdominal organs with the breath. So inflating the belly, the lungs, and then softening back in. On your next inhale, re-extend that left arm and slowly walk it down. From here, start to turn your right toes so that they're now facing the 90 degrees from where they were before. So we've got kind of this kickstand shape. Then we're going to crawl the hands out along the diagonal. Create a deep bend in the right knee. And then we'll start to stir that right hip. So as if you were in the center of a bowl and you were trying to really capture the entire inside, every surface. Switching directions as you're ready. Going only as deep as what feels good. Sometimes you might be creating more separation between the thigh bones, more broadening in the bowl of the pelvis. Others, you might just be making small circles. Whatever, just sort of intuit whatever feels good in this moment. Once again, returning the hands to that 45 degree or kind of along the diagonal, and then let your hips kind of sink back so you feel some length along the side waist. And then slowly draw the hands in. From here, we're going to inhale, reach the right fingertips up, and then aim your right elbow to the inside of your right heel, to the inside of your right foot. Inhale, open. And exhale, take that elbow down. So again, we're just freeing the back of the heart, creating some mobility through the spine to improve circulation and blood flow in and around both the spine and the hips. Last one here like this. And come back down. So we'll walk back to center now. Turn your toes to face the same direction as your fingertips. Big breath in. And then as you exhale, we're going to come onto that right heel, turn the toes up, and lower any amount onto the left heel. So lower the hips back behind you. You can come into sort of that half child's pose with the leg extended. And then here, just explore kind of where you need the stretch in the groin, the inner thigh, the hamstring. Maybe point and flex the right toes, circling the ankle. And then we'll slowly release that, coming back to tabletop now. Just feeling for any shift that you feel now from one side to the other. And then we'll come into a full kneeling position here, so you're on the shins. We're coming into a supported camel pose. So this is a back bend, but a very gentle back bend. I want it to feel completely supported. So I'll turn to the side so that you can see the placement of the hands. I want you to draw the elbows in toward each other, soften the shoulders away from the ears, and lift the center of the chest up. So you have this nice elevated shape to start with. And then press down through the shins. Keep your hands on your sacrum, so the triangular bone at the base of the spine. Maybe give a little bit of massage there. And then as you inhale, lift up and lean back. So use your hands to press the hips forward as you lift up through the heart. And for this one, let's keep the head and neck neutral rather than tilting the head all the way back. With a big breath, lift up through the sides of the waist, up and out. Feel that radiant quality of the back bend. Hug the elbows in to stretch across the chest, and then slowly return back to your upright spine, and then back to tabletop. Resist the urge to come into kind of a full forward bend. Sometimes we have that tendency to want to do the other extreme, but just find a neutral spine here for a moment. With your next breath, we'll come into the second side, so the left leg extends out, root down through the knife edge. Toes are facing the same direction as the fingertips. And then as you inhale, we'll lift the right arm skyward, reach through the fingertips, spin the rib cage. And as you exhale, thread that arm under, reach for your left toes. Bring your right ear towards the mat, spider your left fingertips for support. Energize your right shin, pressing down to square the hips and lift the hips skyward to give your torso more space to rotate and revolve around kind of that very center of your being, the axis of the spine. Deep breaths here again to massage and create space in the belly. And then slowly reverse that. So we inhale, reach the right fingertips skyward, and let them come back down. Now we'll turn the left toes so that your foot is 90 degrees to your hands. And we'll start to walk the hands closer to that left foot. From here, start to stir the left hip. So nice wide circles, moving through kind of a deep bend in that left knee, and then bringing it almost straight. Just kind of whatever feels most called for in this moment. And notice where you feel kind of the most sensation on this side. Is it more in the hips or the thighs, maybe the hamstrings? And then pause the next time that your left knee is bent. Walk the hands along the diagonal. Allow the upper body to fold. And then heavy the hips as a counterweight back behind you to create that length and stretch in the side waist. And breathe deeply here. And just ride the waves in and out. And slowly come up back to that sort of diagonal lizard position here. And then we'll start to sweep the left arm open. Really twist, expand. And then take that elbow down to the inside of left foot. Inhale, reach. Let it be slow as if you were moving through water. Exhale, tap the elbow. Open, expand, and then feel that pull back inward. Last one like this. And exhale. Reaching back up to come out. And then we'll turn the hands back facing away from you, kind of coming back into that wide stance. Start to turn the left toes up so that you have the heel down, and then lower your hips toward your right heel. Pillow the hands, rest them for a moment. Begin to point and flex the left toes. Again, feeling for wherever you need that sensation. So perhaps it's more in the back of the leg or in the groin. Really root down through the heel and then energize the muscles of the leg back toward you, almost like you're trying to drag your heel toward your sitting bone. Last big breath here. Sigh it out. And we'll slowly come back up to our tabletop position. This time I'll turn again so that you can see me from the side. You can stay as you are in tabletop. Again here, just like we did in our Sphinx rolls, we're just trying to create some integration in the low belly. So if at any point you feel pressure or like it's too much for the low back or for the belly, you can split this movement. We're moving into spinal balance. You can split it into its two parts. So the first part is to reach the right arm forward, really extending out away from you, but keeping the shoulder integrated. So hug the head of the arm bone back in back into the joint, and then extend the left leg long. So if this is too much, you can always bring a hand down and alternate between arm and leg. We'll take a big breath. And then as you exhale, parallel tracks, bring the knee and elbow to the center, and then reach out. So avoid crossing the body here. Instead, we're really focusing on the sides of the waist. Inhale, reach out. And exhale, parallel tracks connect together. So we extend, we radiate, and then we feel the gravity pull us back in. Last three like this, reach out, keep a micro bend in that left elbow, pressing through all left finger pads. Last one here, inhale, and exhale. Release to tabletop, sway the hips side to side. Coming into the second side now, reach your left arm forward, hug the head of the left arm bone into the shoulder. Keep the neck and head nice and neutral. And then only if it feels supportive and strong, extend your right leg back. Find your balance here, square the hips, square the shoulders. Big breath in. And as you exhale, hug knee toward elbow. Inhale, reach, and exhale. So again, avoid crossing the body here. And just keep the arm and leg in kind of that parallel axis. Just moving straight in, straight back. Last three breaths, inhale, and exhale. So this part working more of the integration, low back and low belly, and then we'll shift back to relaxation. So you want to be able to engage and recruit the muscles around the pelvic floor, the hips and spine, just as much as you can relax them and rest. Come back to tabletop, sway the hips, and then we'll slowly lower down onto the right hip. So your knees are pointing to the right, let your feet point to the left. We're coming into sort of a clover shape so that you can separate your knees just a little bit so that you have kind of a zigzag in the legs. And then with the right knee bent out in front of you, we'll take the right hand, maybe forearm even behind you, and then we'll just sweep that left arm overhead. Really anchor the inner left knee and start to offer a little bit of a back bend, but without moving the torso. So it's really kind of this lengthening of the spine between 2 points. Really feel the hip flexor stretch. Find that awareness in the front of the pelvis. And then slowly sweep that arm forward, come back up to vertical with the torso. Take the left hand beside you now, right arm spins up and over to the side. Anchor your right hip crease down. You might even take your left hand to find that feedback by pressing the hand into the hip crease. and then lengthen out of the side waist. As you slowly come back up through center, we're shifting toward pigeon now. So a few different options depending on the sensation you feel in your right hip. So you will start with the right shin parallel to the short edge of your mat, so right out in front of you. And you can keep the back knee bent as it is and come into your pigeon here. This might create just enough sensation for what you need today. If you want to go a little bit deeper, start to send your left leg back. And as you set up the posture, make sure your back toes point down, back knee and hip, they're all pointing down towards the ground so that you get this square hip position. And then notice if you need to bring your front heel a little bit closer to your hips, that's okay. From here, then, we are going to return once again to that folding forward, folding inward. Pigeon is one of those postures that sort of just begins when you want to come out. So this is a great opportunity to explore the relationship you have to kind of those protective mechanisms once again. So do you feel your hips gripping, maybe the pelvic floor gripping as the sensation intensifies? So with each exhale, can you relax, soften, send the message to your body, to your nervous system that everything is okay? And we can let go, we can breathe into the stretch, breathe into the sensation. We'll be here for about 3 more very deep breaths. Notice what comes up for you in this deep hip opening posture as we unlock energy that might be kind of tied up in the hips, kind of these primal energies around the psoas. And then only when you're ready, begin to lift up. Take your back knee now. We'll sweep that leg around, taking the left foot either to the front or to the outside of your right knee. Make sure that you can feel both sits bones on the mat. And if this is too much knee flexion, you can always extend your right leg out and just have this cross shape. If that's even too much, you can bring the left foot to the inside of the right leg. So lots of options to make this posture work for you. Sits bones are grounded, lift up through the spine. With your right arm, give your left leg a hug. So we want this to be a very gentle twist. So we're not hooking the elbow to the outside, but instead just that nice gentle embrace. Use your hands to hug that thigh into your body and massage the low abdomen, the belly. And then here, can you create more sensation with your breath? So as you inhale, inflate the lungs to really expand the belly. And then exhale, feel more rotation available in the spine. You might gaze over your left shoulder. Maybe use the left thumb to hook your left hip crease down so that you feel that stretch in the outer hips. And then we'll slowly come back to center here. If your right knee is bent underneath you, extend it out long. And we're going to stack the knees on top in half cow face pose, Gomukhasana. So we create this tight squeeze to the center through the inner thighs. And then we find just a gentle stretch. This one will not take a lot. You may even start to feel the sensation before you fold forward. So with a big breath, lift up through the heart and then walk your fingertips however far feels best for you. For me, this one comes alive right away. It doesn't take much. And then free the neck here. Shift your chin side to side. Let the head be nice and heavy. Big breath in. Slow breath out. And walk the hands back up. This time we're going to bend the knees to the left, stacking them with the feet to the right. So we're coming into our second side now. And then you can open the knees just slightly to get that zigzag clover shape in the legs. Take your left hand or forearm behind you, sweep the right arm overhead. Anchor the right inner knee down into the mat And then lengthen from there all the way up the spine through the right fingertips. You might even curl the tail slightly under to feel more stretch, more sensation across the front of the right leg. And here, can you feel that tendency of the psoas to grip as you try to stretch and access that deep primal muscle that helps our legs move? It helps support the fight or flight response. So in these shapes where we're trying to gain access, can we allow it to soften? Slowly come back up. Take your right hand out to the right side now. Left arm stretches up and over. And if you liked on the first side, you can take your right hand to your left hip crease. Create some feedback, some anchoring, some heaviness to then stretch out and away from. Coming back up through center, preparing for pigeon now on the second side. And let it be okay if you have a different expression or a different version of the pose on this side. We do aim for symmetry side to side, but in these sort of more somatic practices, we want to really just honor what you need on each side individually. So maybe you're staying in the clover shape, folding forward here. Maybe you're extending your right leg back, turning toes, knee, hip down toward the ground, and just kind of finding that position first, and then slowly starting to melt into the pose. So folding forward, pillowing your hands. Again, notice any places where you are holding energy or you are holding muscular tension. I feel some in my belly. It wants to hold and kind of be suspended. Can you just let it soften? Let it relax. Can you soften the shoulders, the neck, the muscles of the face? And again here, just breathing into that protective quality of your body to kind of keep you from stretching too far. Can you both convey gratitude? Thank you for protecting these structures of the body, and also it's okay to let go. Maybe create some gravity through the top of the right thigh, like you're trying to anchor your right hip bone down into the mat. So it's very telling in some of these postures. There's a lot happening on the inside, even though on the outside maybe nothing changes, but with just a little bit of integration, a little bit of action on the inside, you can create a deeper sensation. As you're ready, slowly come back up onto the hands. Guide your back leg around, sweep it to the opposite side. So now the right foot to the outside of left knee. Again, the options for left leg extended or kind of less of that knee flexion if needed. We lift up tall through the spine. Take your right hand behind you and then embrace your right thigh with your left arm, maybe both arms at once. Kind of wiggle the rib cage around and feel that connection of the thigh to the belly. Big inhale. Slow exhale. Notice through that breath how you can free more space for the twist. You might again hook your right thumb into your right hip crease to encourage it down and away. And then releasing the twist as you're ready. Extend your left leg long, cross your right knee on top. Lift up through the spine, squeeze the inner thighs to the midline, and then walk the hands out any amount. Once you find your sensation, the edge that feels right for you, and then again, free the neck side to side so that you're not holding or gripping there. Soften into the stretch. Notice if you feel it in the top leg or the bottom leg more. Try to square the hips. Last breath here. Slowly come out. And extend the legs long. We're Just going to free a little bit of energy before we come into our final relaxation. So this can look however it needs to for you. There's no wrong or right way to do it, but we're simply going to roll on the back, kind of back onto the spine and forward into a squat. So it looks like this. You can take the backs of the knees or bring your hands out to the side. You can keep your knees bent and then bring the feet to the ground, come into this deep squat, roll onto the toes. So as you come back rolling, maybe tucking the knees or straightening the legs, and massaging the spine, coming through that deep squat, maybe a bit of a shimmy at the top. Roll back, find the rhythm that feels good for you. It might be fast, it might be slow. Here we're just sort of giving an exit strategy to anything that came unlocked, that was freed through our practice. Now we're just sort of letting it go. So take 2 more like this. Roll back and forward. And then slowly come onto the back. Bring your feet down. You can windshield wiper the knees side to side. And then we're going to slowly shimmy towards the wall. So you can kind of position your body as close to the wall as possible, bringing your hips to touch. And then we'll turn towards legs up the wall. So if you can, you want your hips to stay in contact with the wall. And just let your legs lift up here. So we'll take our final relaxation with legs up the wall. If you need to, you can put a blanket under the low spine for greater comfort. And this can be done anywhere, any wall, just kind of wiggle the toes. And then find a position in the legs that feels really good. So that might be with the knees gently bent, the legs straight up, or maybe in cobbler with the soles of the feet together, the knees wide apart. You might even take a wide squat just to create some space across the bowl of the pelvis, with the feet wide and on, almost like you're in kind of that goddess squat, but in a supine position. And once you find your comfortable leg position, take your right hand, place your peace fingers on your forehead. Use your ring finger and thumb to rest over your left and right nostril, respectively. Come into alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, here for just a few rounds before a brief relaxation. On your next inhale, close the right nostril with your thumb. Inhale only through the left. Close the left nostril with your ring finger. Exhale only through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. One more round all the way through. Inhale left. Close the left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right. Exhale left. Release your hand beside you. Let your breath come back to normal. You can stay in legs up the wall for the final relaxation, or if it's feeling like too much, you can come onto your back or onto your side. Just find a posture that really truly feels like rest. explore a few different options like me before you land in one that feels just right. We'll be here for just a minute or two more, allowing your body to soften. And can you let it feel heavy? Allow for that gravity and start to shift your relationship to it. Not as tired or lacking in any way, but as deeply grounded, deeply relaxed, deeply at home. I hope that you will stay in this resting posture for as long as you need, as long as you can, as long as you like. And in that way, I will close our practice from this resting place so that you might feel encouraged, inspired to stay a few moments more. Place a hand on the heart, a hand on your belly. Celebrate yourself for employing movement as medicine, for working through whatever arises. It is an honor to be moving with you. Thank you for joining me and for letting your body be moved.